a quick audio check. Incoming. My apologies for the notification coming in exactly as I do my mic check every single stream. But nonetheless, I should be sharing the link with our fantastic tier 6 people. All right. Hello. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be in the world. This is ALR Aero League Racing Tier 6 Season 16 race around Monza. This is the sprint race, and obviously Monza being the straight line test that it is, we shall see a few suspects towards the back of the grid, rather the cars which don't have the outright straight line speed. But nonetheless, let's get accustomed to the order that the cars are going to be starting the race in. So it's a Ferrari on pole, which happens to be myself. That will never stop being weird to just do comms for myself in the race. But yeah, it was a very, very close qualifying at Monza. I think there was about 20 something, 30 something milliseconds separating myself in P1 and Rico in P2. He gave a very, very good fight. So props to him. That was a very good quali session. Very, very close. Third place goes to the Mercedes of Ayrton Senna, who is in who's in P3. Is on. I think everybody's opted for the soft tires. We shall keep an eye out for that as well a little bit later. Gum in the Porsche is in P4, and I must say, under the Monza lights, it looks a lot better. The livery, it looks quite stunning, I would say. Gabo is P5 in the Mile 7 Renault. Again, a great qualifying by him. Blade Runner in the other Renault just follows his teammate in P6, and as I think everybody's on soft tires. Boyan in the other Mercedes in P7. So the Mercedes were expected to be strong around here, and they were as a result. So nonetheless, my teammate Abi in P8, so a bit of a discrepancy. I think he just didn't feel up to it, I think, in the car around this track. Apocalypse in the Audi is in P9, Jaden in another Audi is in P10. I believe these two are not teammates, as I can very clearly see now. There is one has Rich Energy branding, one has Monster branding, but I shall not comment on that any further. IJF in the Ambulance Lambo in P11, Michelle in P12. So considering where the Subaru is expected to be at Monza, given the straight line speed deficit that it has, it's quite a good qualifier him. Inorganic in the Aston in P13. Nico in P14 in the Aston Villa Aston Martin, and Gaz rounds off the grid in the Audi. So 3 Audis on the grid. That's not really easy. Welcome Tap to the stream. Always good to have you here. And we shall be going for lights out, and with that in mind, we will be onboard with Rico and cinematic camera because you can expect to see some chaos. Let's go. We have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. I hope my audio shows this all as well ahead of all the drivers, and that's going to be lights out and they're off. And never mind, I'm not going to comment on myself, but that was a alright start by me, I must say. I'm pretty proud of that. As they go towards turn 1, it is Rico followed by Ayrton Senna and Gabo, and you're going to see some proper chaos unfold here. And there you go, that is a lot of going on for a lot of drivers, a lot of contact, and that is pure utter chaos. That is Monza turn 1 in league racing for you, just plain and simple. Nothing like it, it's just what happens at Monza, stays at Monza. And yeah, that's caused Gabo to go up from P5, I believe it was, to P2. My teammate Abhi up into P3 from P8, and Jaden going onto the grass there and trying to get past Abhi, and has to halt his charge there and settle the P4 for the time being. And never mind, his charge has been completely halted. It's almost been destroyed, just like his rear left part of his car, because he's down in P9 with damage. And it's also been a pretty unfortunate race start for Blade Runner, who's in the Renault, who's in now in P9. As we can see, the two Mercedes very close to one another on track. Gum also not having the best of race starts there. So I think what we should have done there actually is gone through the race start. So I think it was Gum and Rico who made a lot of contact, and then there was this lag involved there, which you can see there. It's just not possible to, I think, affix blame to one particular driver in this situation. So in any case, it's unfortunate situation, as you can see, a lot of cars ghosted and such. So it's never ideal to be in this scenario. and for some reason Gaz is IGF is a long way back. Nonetheless, we shall continue on fourth with the race. So I think we pick up where we left off. Yep. And yes, somebody is pointing out Rico's livery. I think that's it's a nice livery on the Genesis, I must say, as you see Apocalypse with the penalty. And everybody's following in tandem. Not a lot that you can do on lap 1 without putting yourself at danger of losing a lot of positions as you go through a Ascari. And as we exit the turn, Ayrton Senna goes a little bit wide there, and Boyan is trying to get past his teammate, and I think they will swap positions before they reach Parabolica. And there you go. Boyan is now ahead of his teammate, and forgive me, the Bulgarian driver, if I get that flag wrong, the Bulgarian driver moves up into P6, and the British driver is now on P7. Up front, there's not a whole lot going on, so Avi is chasing after Gabo, so let's see when he can make the move on the Renault driver. For the back, let's have a look here, what's going on between Gumb and Ayrton Senna. So Ayrton Senna losing a bit of momentum and possibly losing another position as well to Gumb, possibly in turn 1. Let's have a look. There's a little bit of tinge of contact between the two Mercedes teammates, and there's a lot more contact between Gumb and Boyan because of the lag involved, I believe. But luckily I see no damage for any of them. Blade Runner just a spectator for the time being. Look at the rear right end of that Renault. It's absolutely battered, and it's lap 2. That's just characteristic of Monza. It's just what you expect at times. But Gumb looking for a move into the Della Roja chicane. Will he dive down the inside? He will not. He will hang back for now. And there is a lot of lag, and there you go. That has allowed Ayrton Senna to get past, and possibly Blade Runner as well. Joining the party, joining the mix. Will he be able to go on the outside of the first Lesmo turn? He will be able to, but he's forced onto the gravel there, and that's going to lose him a lot more positions, and that's Rico getting past, who has a 5/10 penalty. As we see, that is Gumb going off track, almost losing the rear end there, and that is Ayrton Senna picking up a penalty. Was that for corner cutting? Let's just have a look here. So a whole lot of chaos as we usually see at Monza, but why did Ayrton Senna get a penalty? He was rather on his own. What was that for? Collision with another driver? Because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Not really argue with the game's penalty system. It can be very interesting at times. That's all I'm going to say here for that. Apocalypse is the big gainer on all this. He has moved up a couple positions and is now in P8 trying to get ahead of it. And Gumb losing the rear end there and reversing onto the circuit. I don't think that's the best way to get back on the circuit. He is down to P15 as we see the Lamborghini of IJF and the Aston of Inorganic getting very close. Let's see up front, Rico has served his penalty and he's right there with Ayrton Senna, who also had the penalty. Blade Runner runs into the back of Rico. That is going to cause Rico a bit of, I want to say disorientation, but I don't think that's the right term there. And we're going to start the third lap of this sprint race. If somebody in chat can please let me know if my audio is coming through clearly. We've had a bit of an issue at the previous two races. As we see Genesis getting past the Mercedes, will he be able to make it stick into turn 1? Ayrton Senna will brake late, but Rico's still there. There's a little bit of contact there, and they get through without too many issues. Rico has come off worse, but Ayrton Senna himself went on the gravel a little bit there. Yeah, I think the penalty situation is always controversial, as we see Boyan with a 2.5 second penalty. Whatever's happened to him there, he's picked up a 2.5 second penalty. Did I miss something here? Did he cut a style? I think I missed a significant chunk of what happened to Boyan here. So that's the corner, I think, but that shouldn't be enough to warrant a 2.5 second penalty. What is it? That's a bit harsh. I think a 1 second penalty may be enough. But in any case, we don't see him pick up any other penalties there. I don't know. I think the penalties were a bit mixed here and there because we had a couple of different hosts, so there was a bit of a disparity between what the lobby settings were between race to race. Because I remember maybe a few races were taking place with wall collision penalties enabled. So I think there's a whole lot of things there. Let's have a look at this for the time being though. That's Blade Runner and Rico very close. Ayrton Senna ahead of the pair of them. Behind Rico is IGF, who's a long way back and who also has a penalty. Let's have a look into the Della Roja chicane we go. Ayrton Senna navigates it all right. Rico not enjoying his and everybody also navigates it well, and they're all going towards the first Lesmo turn. Let's have a look what they can do. First Lesmo, no issues there whatsoever. Up front, however, I see Apocalypse getting very, very close to Boyan and almost losing the rear end, almost going into the wall. They're good on him, but keeping under control the Apocalypse and keeping it on the track. And I think he will get us without any issue at Ascari. Let's have a look up and down the field. We'll have a look at Abi and Gabo as well. Michelle up into P4 in that BRZ. You don't really expect to see a BRZ that high at Monza, but I think if somebody can do that, that is Michelle. And yes, Boyan in the chat mentioned that his internet was messing up. You can see that there was a lot of people with internet issues. I myself had a few internet issues. But yeah, it was quite annoying, I would say, all the lag around Monza. It really ruined a lot of races here. So as we see, Ayrton Senna losing the rear end a little bit, possibly putting the throttle down a little bit too early at Parabolica. Let's have a look as we start lap 4. Rico and Ayrton Senna very, very close. Ayrton almost pushing him off the circuit there towards the pit wall to say hi to the legions of, not Ferrari fans in the pit wall. There'll be team members on the pit wall. Let's have a look into turn 1 we go, and that is Blade Runner and Ayrton got very close. Good afternoon, GJL. I can't catch your name. I don't think that's your username on PSN. So good afternoon to you too. Let's have a look through the cover ground. There we go. Will Ayrton Senna be able to stage an attack on Rico as we approach Della Roggia? I don't think he will. Although he's up on his personal best. He is going to go down the inside, he's going to send it, and that's going to cause Rico a bit of grief, and that has caused the pair of them a lot of grief, and they've lost tons of positions, and he's rejoined almost perpendicular to the track. For some reason IJF went off all on his own there. So let's have a look at that from Rico's perspective. So he's been tagged here, loses the rear end and hits Ayrton Senna. And because Blade Runner hit he hit Rico, so he, as we could see, that he has damage. So this will give us a good perspective of what's happened. So I think it's just a wrong place, wrong time for the pair of them. And I would want to see further back why IGF just went off all on his own. Maybe just missed his braking point, as that is going off circuit, rejoining, possibly a penalty for the Lamborghini driver. Let's have a look. I don't think it is. Surprisingly, Rico does have damage, as does Blade Runner. That's to be expected. They hit each other quite hard. And yes, that is Tier 6 in all its glory, as this was expected. Jaden with a 3-second penalty. Let's have a look why it's become 3 seconds almost. I think it was 2.5, right? Let's have a look into turn 1. Did he cut the turn? What's happened here to him? For no discernible reason he picks up a 3-second penalty, unless he cut the turn severely and lag just didn't show it as clearly to me. But nonetheless, I think we saw him make a bit of a mistake. So, never mind. I think IJF was hit by Jaden there. Let's have a look. Going into Della Roggia on lap 4 of the sprint. I think there's a little bit of contact. Yeah, there's significant contact there actually. And IJF having to take the escape road, not the escape road as such, but he has to go straight across the corner there. Let's have a look. Jaden throwing through the first Lesmo. I think he lost the rear end, possibly even had a moment there, possibly crashed. Let's have a look. Because I could see him struggling a whole lot there. Never mind. He's alright. The second Lesmo then. Let's have a look. Yes, second Lesmo is what I meant. He lost the rear end there, as we saw before we did a bit of a rewind there. Ayrton Senna losing the place to IJF. Ayrton Senna has just been going backwards, unfortunately, in this race. It's not been the best of races for him there. The Mercedes driving out on in P11 and going for the move down the inside. That is not the place you want to be going for a move, Ayrton. And I think somehow they got past without too many issues. And that's Jaden and Ayrton Senna very close. And Jaden obviously has to slow down significantly. 3 whole seconds and gum flies past. I think Gaz is a little too far back to take advantage of that. Let's have a look up front if there are any movements, any battles going on. Abi is still following, chasing after Gabo. It is the 5th lap of an 8-lap race. Gabo has made a massive mistake there, almost moving onto the gravel there. And I think Abi's got a better exit through the cover ground. There we go. Let's follow this battle for P2. Through this long right-hander, Abi will have the advantage if he's able to keep his car towards the inside line at the Della Roggia chicane. Let's have a look. The 2 blue cars. Let's have a look what he can do. He decides against sending a risky move around the inside at the chicane. And yes, so for this race, we ran a slightly different livery, trying to give a bit of a tribute to Italy. It's all my doing. I'm too much of a Ferrari fan. And yeah, so not a whole lot to say up front. That is myself a little bit ahead of Gabo, who's been chased by Abi. Let's have a look a little further back. They run a race of his own at this point in time. Apocalypse catching up to Nico, who's himself catching up to Michel. Michel, obviously, you can see the disparity there on the main straight. Let's have a look at Gabo and Abi once again. So I know for a fact that something's going to happen here, so that's why I'm focusing on this sporadically. Let's have a look further back if something's going to happen here. A little battle that we've missed. Nothing much going on. It's not been an ideal race for the Mercedes drivers, you must say that, because you see Ayrton Senna down P14 and Boyan down at P12. So they started well in the top 10. So I think they were both in the top 6, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, that's not the way you want your race to go. I think the main feature race went better for them. Let's have a look up front as what has happened to Apocalypse, that he's picked up a penalty. I think it's a Ascari. Yeah, I think that's rather significant, as we could see. Just before I did the rewind. So let's have a look. Approaching Ascari, he is up. He's purple in the middle sector. And then he goes wide here. Let's have a look. He cuts this corner as well. No, I think that's just for going wide at that turn. And that is a slap line 5/10 penalty outright. Half a second penalty. Just better ways to say. Michel in P4 is being caught significantly by Nico. So Nico has, I think this is the race where he got his VR. Was it? Can't say for sure, but he was. I think his pace really improved in this race. But there were a lot of penalties for him. Let's have a look at Abi and Gabo once again. Round 2. Through the first turn we go. I think it's called Variante. No, that's Imola. I can't remember this one. It's just let's call it turn 1 for now. Through the Curva Grande we go. Let's have a look at whether Abi can mount an attack on the runner driver, cause him a bit of. Can he make it a Ferrari 1-2 before the end of this race? We only have 2 laps left, including this one. So through the ALR chicane we go. He could make a move there. Further back, I think everybody is just following in track. Not a whole lot to comment on. Everybody is quite spaced out, honestly. Inorganic close to Ayrton Senna. Maybe he's going to go for a move on his fellow pit. Let's have a look at approaching the ALR chicane up front. Another whole lot happening. And nope. Inorganic cannot get past Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna made a pretty significant mistake there at the exit of that turn, and I think approaching Lesmo 1, Inorganic may sense an opportunity, smell an opportunity, but I don't think he's going to act on it. Yeah. Not a whole lot he could have done there without causing both of them a lot of problems. As we see, I've missed this, so Abi chasing after Gabo, approaching the Ascari chicane. I think Gabo just went a bit deep there. Let's have a look from Gabo's perspective. And I think what happened to him here? Did he take too much curbing there? And he just got onto the gravel there and almost lost the rear end, almost crashed the car. And that has made it a Ferrari 1-2 at Monza. There is nothing more beautiful for a Ferrari fan peers to listen to. And I must admit, a little bit of bias here, but I was pretty happy at seeing this materialize in this point. But we shall not focus on that for now. We shall focus on the rest of the drivers who are very close to one another. I feel that Nico was pretty close to Michel, but I think Michel has just filled out a bit of a gap towards the tail end of this race in order to stay ahead of the Aston Martin driver, despite the Aston Martin having the better straight line speed. Absolutely. I think I have already I'd made a few changes. I don't think it's really worked out here. Is it better now? Better now. I've increased it about 3 or 4 clicks. I think it should be a little better now. I've made a few changes before the race as well. But yeah, I hope it's a little more audible now. I'll just tune the audio mix slightly as well. As we see Gabo have a bit of a moment through the gravel there. And Michel falling a little further back. Nico's in a good position. I think this will put him P6 for the main race. Apocalypse will be P5. And at this point in time, it is actually IJF who is in the best possible position. As we see cars getting very, very close here. We see Gum being chased after by IJF, who's being chased after by Jaden, and I hope if you can please let me know if the audio, the mic level is okay now. Going into turn 1, IGF is to go Porsche, and Audi getting a good exit as well out of the second turn. To the Cover Grande we go. Let's have a look at what the Lamborghini can do. Let's have a look at what the Audi can do. Approaching the Delaware chicane. Whoever finishes P10, of course. Okay, alright. Thank you, GJL. Please do let me know what your name was, what your name is rather, PSN. So I know who I'm referring to in the chat. As we see Jaden going through the curves, he's actually very, very close to the rear end of the Lamborghini there. I think he may just be itching to get past the ambulance Lamborghini, but he goes a bit wide there, takes the gravel, and that is going to slow his progress. That is going to halt his progress significantly. Because he was very close, and he loses the rear end and almost completely loses the car. Somehow he keeps it under control. Let's have a look. Yeah, this part of the field is very your message is cut off, but I think you're Gilles. Gilles as in Gilles Villeneuve. I don't think you're in tier 6, right? Are you? I think you're in tier 5 or tier 4. I think I've raised you in tier 4, so nice to have you in the chat anyways. It's always a pleasure to have some fast people in the chat. We see Blade Runner has taken the fastest lap away from me. That is very saddening, but nonetheless we do proceed forth with the last lap of this sprint race. Blade Runner has given himself a good chance because he is going to be starting P4 for the feature race. For the back, let's have a look at Jaden, who is not within touching distance of IGF at this point in time, as we see IGF in a very good position. If he can keep this to the end of the race, he will be on pole, he will be first for the feature race. Mixing up my words there, as we see a yellow flag. Has something happened here? Oh, you're tier 1 too. Oh. Well, I think I may be speaking to a bit of royalty here. Nice to have you in the chat, of course. Always welcome. And Ayrton Senna has picked up a penalty. Let's have a look why that is so. I don't see any reason why he's picked up that penalty. Let me just, I'm not doing another extra rewind here, but let me have a look. So, it's within track limits here. Doesn't cut the turn here. So for no obvious reason he's picked up a penalty, and the game really doesn't tell you why he's picked up the penalty. So the F1 games usually tell you he's got a penalty for doing something or the other, but nonetheless, as you can see, one Mercedes is slowing down, the other one has picked up a penalty. So that is the most unfortunate scenario for this, not the team from Brackley, but the German team. Alright, I use a lot of F1 terminologies here. I'm a bit more used to that. So, nonetheless, it is the last lap, and I saw a lot of chaos here. I saw a yellow flag, but that is me. Not going to focus on that for the time being. Something happening between Ayrton Senna and Gaz, maybe. Let's have a look. Into turn 1 we go. Mercedes chasing the Audi. Let's have a look. The two German manufacturers come too close. What happens? Oh no, that is somebody else in the background there. That's Jaden completely missing turn 1. What happened? Did he clip the grass? Or did he just miss his braking point? What happened there? Oh, he lost the rear end and he had a complete 360. Nicely held, Jaden. Well done. And he goes through the pylon. Not the pylon is there, but the what do you call it? The board. I just call it the Pirelli board. I don't know what else to call it. There's no specific term for it. But he is in P11 after a very sick drift, I think, as we should term it. Ayrton Senna still chasing after Gaz, but he will lose out big time. He goes for a massive dive down the inside, and Gaz has no defense to it. I think there was a whole lot of contact there. Let's have a look from Inorganic's point of view. So Inorganic not having a very good race comparative to his teammate here. Let's have a look. So was there contact? I think there was a fair bit of contact here, which we obviously don't like to see. It's very detrimental to everybody's race. But in all this, Ayrton Senna with an immense dive there down the inside gets up into P12. Obviously with this penalty he will be slowed down. But I think we shall shift our attention up front, because I think this is the only time this season, rather late in the season, At Monza, it is a Ferrari 1-2, and I did slow down a little bit to try a photo finish. We didn't really achieve it in the end. There's a nice battle going on here, but yeah, it is a 1-2 for the Ferrari team. And further back, I think this is a great P3 finish for Gabo. Michel will finish P4 in the Subaru. Nico in P5. Great pace by him. Apocalypse and Blade Runner. I think Apocalypse just got him at the line there. Or what? Sorry, rather, other way around. Blade Runner almost got him at the line there. Let's have a look. It's a photo finish for these two. Let's have a look from Blade Runner's point of view. The Coca-Cola liveried Renault. He's just missed out on the getting P6. Rico in P8. IGF in P9. Jaden P10. And I think we've missed a few battles here. Let's have a look at this. We shall give this a lot of airtime because obviously any battles are fantastic to witness. So this is Gaz trying to get past Ayrton Jenna, who has the penalty. Inorganic a little further behind the pair of them, and Boyan is falling down in P15 unfortunately, and that is Ayrton Jenna going for a dive there. That's Gaz onto the gravel. That's Inorganic trying to get past, and he does get past Gaz. Let's have a look what happens here, and Inorganic himself going onto the gravel there. That's going to allow Boyan to get past. Will Boyan be able to get the Aston Martin as well, as they have to avoid Ayrton Jenna's penalized car being slowed down. Let's have a look into Parabolic. Any moves being made here? Last moves on the very last lap of the sprint. I don't think there are, or is it? Boyan with a great exit. Will he be able? It's a drag race between the pair of them. And let's have a look who's going to be at top. Boyan completely on the circuit. That is P13 for Boyan, P12 for Inorganic, Gaz 14th, and Ayrton Jenna in 15th. And I think that is the end of the race. And there you go. So obviously the reverse order. So I shall be starting in P10. My teammate Abhi in P9. Gabo in P8, Michel in P7, Nico in P6, Apocalypse P5, Blade Runner P4, Rico. Why am I doing this? I can do it in the feature race stream, alright. Still a bit getting used to all this. Yeah, there you go. So, this race was utterly chaotic. And oh, sorry, I shouldn't be showcasing the final results already. So, yes. This race has been, I would say, just one of the most chaotic races I've done ever, in general, in all of my league racing, in my time league racing. And that's why I've been rather looking forward to do comms for this. Jaden on the hards in P1, so he finished P10 in the race. He will be in P1. IGF opting for the medium tires. I won't be the other way around. I'm making a bit of a mistake there. I thought IGF was in P10. Maybe I'm making a bit of a mistake there. Rico in P3 in the Genesis. Blade Runner in P4 on the hards, and Rico was in the mediums as well. Sorry, forgot to mention that. Blade Runner on the hards. Apocalypse in the Audi on the hards as well. Nico opting for the medium tires in the Aston Martin. Michelle also opting for the mediums. Gabo also opting for the mediums. Abhi opting for the hard tires, and so do I to opt for the hard tires. So outside the top 10 we have Gumb on the soft tires. A bit of an interesting call. Let's see how it plays out for him. Inorganic in P12 on the hards as well. Boyan in P13 on the mediums. Gaz on the mediums as well, and Ayrton Jenna rounds off the grid also on the mediums. So I don't exactly know who to follow for this race start, because there is battles up and down the field. The amount of times I'll have to rewind, I'll have to keep rewinding, is going to be incredible. But nonetheless, I think we shall be on board with Rico's Genesis. So I think let's go for the race start. We will not have the highlights ahead of us right now. We'll have it in a moment. And I think this race single-handedly raised all tier 6 penalty submissions in one go. Let's see, Rico chasing after IJF and Jaden. Further back, he has Blade Runner to look out for, and Apocalypse, although I don't think that's going to